that parade of praises me.
What is going on? What is up, ladies and gentlemen? What an eventful week I have had. Very interesting. That intro video was Mike Agugliaro. I think the guy in the video actually. It's interesting. It's like a double, like Agugliaro. But so yes, I have the Mike Agugliaro on today. I want to just I'm going to bring him on, but I just want to say I've been going back and forth with Mike trying to get him on the show, and I'm really excited to have him actually. So without further ado, Mike, I'm going to bring you on, man. Dude, I'm stoked. I'm stoked that you're here. Yes, I'm stoked that you're here. And I think most people here are, they probably know who you are. However, there's a lot of listeners who are from other industries and whatnot, and they really have no idea. So, yeah. What are you doing on my show, man?
Yeah. Well, first, I love that. I'm not a big cowboy music guy, but man, I was like jamming to that. I was like, let's do this. Yeah. I'm a trades guy. Like that's what's part of my DNA. My dad was a mason, so I'm from a hardcore blue collar family, growing up carrying bricks, mixing cement. And people ask, why the hell did you become an electrician? And I hope it's appropriate to curse. Otherwise, I guess you could bleep it out or something. But
yeah, one of the rules of this podcast, by the way, is if you're offended, you're the problem. So you can say whatever the hell you want, dude.
Yeah. So
we've had some conversations on here.
Yeah, I didn't want to carry fucking bricks and mix cement. So it sounded better to become an electrician. And plus being on my own at 15, I was pretty driven by things that might kill you because, when you're on your own at 15, you just know survival and you get pretty rough and tough. Who everybody sees today is not who I was back then. And I became an electrician. I worked for a bunch of people till I thought they were a bunch of fucking idiot. So what do all business people do? Start your own business. You find out you're just an idiot like everyone else. And then eventually, long story short, I figured it out. I scaled the company from, $1 million to 32 million. I had 200 employees, 165 trucks, and I sold it in 2017. And look, that was impressive back then. Now I look back, I go, that was cute. I'm from the day of like beepers and shitty cell phones. Today, 32 million. I don't mean to offend anybody, but like if you can't scale big numbers, it's just because you don't know, you just don't know how to play the game, the right game. And from there, and look, I'm honored to be on this show. So thank you for giving me the platform that hopefully gives some people some insight and hope. I went on and started an organization called CEO Warrior for one reason and one reason only. I was tired of fucking suit and tie people trying to help people change their lives, and their lives weren't changing. And every time I was around a plumber, HVAC guy, they would say, how's things going, Mike? And I'm like, I just bought 10 more trucks and hired 20 more guys. I say, how about you? And they would go, life sucks. It's horrible. I can't pay my bills. People are quitting. And that's why I started what I believe is one of the best, best practice organizations out there. I mean,
Yeah, so I don't want to, because I know you got a story, right? So, yeah. But gold medal was a part of Nexstar, wasn't it? Or you were Certain Path? No, SGI? No, Nexstar.
No, I was in Nexstar for probably about 10 years, and they did a lot of good for me. I was also, I'm a rebel, so I'm the client you love, but you also hate because I challenge fucking everything. Yeah. And eventually we parted ways. Which was part of my motivation. And I'll share it here these days. I mean, it was part of my motivation to scale CEO Warriors because when I left there, the president at the time, without saying his name, he was out of integrity. And, I said to him, like, I don't agree with what you're saying. And I went and created CEO Warrior. Yeah. And coached 1,000 people and had 20,000 people come through our trainings,
I remember, and I remember when that happened because I was, and you're from the great state of New Jersey, aren't you?
Boom.
I don't think most people know this, by the way. About 10 years ago, I sat in Mike's office. Actually, I think it was Joe Tadero's office, but I sat in Mike's office, and I remember at the time I was at a crossroads, and I was like, okay, I got to make a move. I'm going somewhere. And I had worked for some outfits, had a lot of success as a sales rep. And Mike literally, man, he threw me the keys and said, man, I'll show you. You know what I'm saying? Like, just, I got a car out here. Let's roll. And it was funny because I took another role and I told Mike this and he knows it. And so I don't want it to go to anybody's head, but I kind of regret that decision. It would have been very interesting to see what would happen. And of course, you know, journeys are what they are. But one thing that I remember from you ran a recruiting session that was like, you just bring people in and you would just have a room full. And you actually did that and no one else was doing that. I remember, well, it wasn't that no one else, no one really advertised it. Actually, you did that. And I'll never forget that, you said something to me that again sticks with me for my whole life. I've never forgotten it. And you said, hey, you see these other companies out here and they've been around for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. You know what I mean? They got to where they are because they got there by default. I'm going to get there by design.
That's right.
That was one takeaway. Anyway, keep going. Yeah. You started CEO Warrior. 1 million people came on to CEO Warrior.
Yeah, well, 1,000 people I was coaching, and people always ask me, why did I sell the service company? Because look, the service company was tracking for 40 million. We would have did 60, 70, 80 million. I mean, it was just by design. I sold it so everybody knows here, and there's a big life lesson here is because I needed to move to where I could change the world next. That's why I started CEO Warrior. I wanted to go out there. I wanted to literally ignite and impact broken service people. And I wanted to stop tradespeople from dying early and dying fucking broke. And, I did that and I sold that organization in 2020 because COVID came in and now I made a lot of people, 70 companies to this date in the last 36 months that I have impacted in one way or another sold, and 90% of them become decamillionaires. So I know a lot of coaches done good things, but like I created more decamillionaires than anybody I know on the planet. And that's what created Fudog Group was life, business, and wealth by design. Let's make sure we can get everybody to remove whatever suffering they're dealing with and get them to the best quality of life at the wealthiest they can be, at the greatest legacy that they can leave behind.
I saw this, like, I don't want to say it was meditation, but it was of sorts. It was like some sort of maybe introspective meditational thing that you were doing at this. I think maybe it was your house. I don't know. It was like you had like drummers in there and like musicians, and it was weird. And I was like, this is kind of neat. And I'm all for it. I like expansion of the mind and tapping into new things. And I think my daughter says it best when she's like, Dad, you're always like pushing at bay all of the demons. Like you keep so busy and you do a million things and you work as hard as you do because you're constantly trying to keep whatever it is out. And I think a lot of people here probably feel that same way. Anyway. So Fudog Group was sprouted out of the human element, really, right? Of what you created in CEO Warrior, what you created in Gold Medal, right? I mean, is that right?
Yeah, it was created by going back. A lot of people don't know I took a complete loop. When you go back at my 20s, I've been doing martial arts for 38 years. So in my 20s, I was teaching the DARE program. I mean, I was getting a group of 14, 15-year-olds, rough, tough kids, heroin, crack. They're getting ready to go to jail. And the township would shove them in a room with me. And I said, why don't you let me teach them martial arts? So I was their last-ditch effort. And then my wife and I used to do empowerment events out of our house. We would jam 50, 60 people in our tiny little house just to create a breakthrough and help them. And then I went on to scale companies, and I don't want to say I was lost. I had a different focus. I circled right back to how do I help humanity at the biggest level? And how do I take people? Look, it's a mind game, man. Like, I don't care what anybody tells me. I've given, after coaching 1,000 business owners, I gave them the best fucking price book, the best system, the best do it this way, say it that way, best objection handling. But if your mind is filled with shames and guilts and traumas and bullshit, I can give you this and say this is the holy grail. It won't work for you. You'll suffer forever. 80% of it is that programming in your mind that keeps you to where you want to go.
Mm. You know, it seems to me that I saw like an old picture of you like standing outside of a truck, like, dude, I mean, it was like a truck, one truck. I don't even know if it was, I don't think it was called gold. What was it called? It wasn't even called Gold Medal at that point.
Gold Medal Electric. It was
oh, was it?
It wasn't like this fancy vans, like where you could stand up. Like anybody that's been in the game, like as a tradesperson a long time, they're half hunchback because the vans weren't tall and fancy, and not everybody drove a fucking Mercedes Benz van. It was different back then,
Yeah. And then when did like it click where you went from like, dude, you're doing electric in a truck? You took a couple partners, right? At some point in time, I know, right? Like initially you had, was it Adam?
I always had a partner, Rob. We started the company together, and that's how we started. Later, after the years, we decided to partner up with Yatrovsky. Adam Belitz owned it. He's got a kick-ass company he's building right now. And because
that's with Helmy, that's with Helmy, right? Like that guaranteed service.
Yeah. They got a great brand. They're doing amazing there. I'm super proud of those guys. And what we wanted to do was build a one-stop shop. But what's the turning point is the question, because everybody that's listening either had a turning point and they're waiting for their next turning point. That's the deal. For me, it's the birth of my son. My son's being born. And my wife's in the hospital with him. And my son's 25 now. Now he's big, he's monster, he's strong. He's a fucking business expert coach and stuff. And I was home building one of those rocking chairs so my wife could like breastfeed and stuff. I remember sitting in that thing breaking down going, my God, I'm going to become just like my dad. Now, my dad was a hard worker, and I love my dad. He passed away in November last year. But I just remember saying, like, my dad worked 7 days a week. He missed a whole lot of stuff. And that was the first turning point. Like, am I going to miss things? And I didn't want to do that no more. And when you're put into pressure, you either break or you're going to make a decision to solve something.
Right. But you didn't make it like, so you didn't make a decision to, you had the company. So then my question was, where was the switch where you were like, okay, I can really scale this thing and I'm going to employ the processes and I'll do all the hard shit that no one wants to fucking do. And then, you know what I mean? Like what was the switch that turned on? You said it was your son getting born, but like, what were actionary things that you did? And I'm curious, cause that's a part of your story.
It's okay. I went to visit a guy's shop. And the guy's shop was in Pennsylvania. His name was Steve Lowry. He had Lowry Electric. And when I was going to join the organization Nexstar back then, I was cock blocked because that's what people try to do. Like if you have a lot of energy, they don't want you to have the tools because they're intimidated. Because let's face it, in 5 years of being in an organization, I outgrew every one of the founding fathers, right? And I went to visit this guy's shop, and holy shit, I was blown away, man. You could lick the floor in the warehouse. I mean, it was so incredible. And that guy, Steve Lowry, I just told him on Facebook the other day, like I give him credit for that. When we were leaving, he pulled out a check and he said, Mike, that's what I made last year. And I won't say here for privacy and not that it probably matters after all these years. And I looked at the check and said, holy shit. Now, Steve, if he hears this, him and Joe Haney, they might get a little pissed off. But when I left there and went on the way home, I looked at my business partner, Rob, and I said, look, they're not the best electricians in the world. Like, we're really fucking good. If they built that and we don't think they're the best in the world, imagine what we can build. And that was it. It clicked. Now it was just a matter of, okay, how do we do it? Now, I was brave enough, and most people listening probably are not. I was brave enough to pull out my fucking credit card and go, okay, I'm going to invest in this training. And back then, it's not like this Service Titan stuff. People bitch. They're like, oh, I'm paying a couple $100 a user. I'm like, are you kidding me? 15, 18 years ago, you had to buy the whole software. It was $30,000 for the system I bought back then. They didn't have no payment plans and per user shit. Credit card, kaboom, right? There we go, man. 30-something thousand. Yellow Page ads. Well, everybody was playing a game there. the add a double truck back then was $3,500. I'm like, give me 5 of them. My partner at the time sitting there going, how are we even, I mean, the Amex is smoking, right? I mean, it's on fire, this thing. And that's the turning point, is the decision where you go, someone knows how to do this faster, quicker, easier than you. And are you actually willing to put some skin in the game and pay for it? Most people, they're not willing to do it at all.
Did you go broke at all?
Never. Look,
during the business building, did you go broke?
No, never borrowed money. Never took out a loan.
You said you borrowed. You paid with an Amex. That's borrowed money.
Well, okay. I paid off every Amex bill when it came in. Never carried a balance on Amex for 36 years. Paid off my mortgage when I was 28 years old. I'm level 54 now. I've been mortgage free. Do the math. Okay. Never not paid someone a paycheck my whole career. And even through 2008, which they called as close to the Great Depression, nothing like we'll fist fight this time, which I don't like. You could throw a recession, depression at me. Like it means nothing, because it only affects those that don't have wisdom. Right. So even in 2008, we scaled by $1 million. Now I did have a credit line, $1 million eventually, never touched it. And I also never bought any companies. I'm not saying not to buy. I never bought any company. I partnered with one, $0 partnership, but I never bought anything. So
pretty smart. Chuck says, learn from the ones that did it before you. And Dan's got a whole bunch of stuff going on in the chat right here. He doesn't even know what he's talking about. All right. I'm with Brian.
Chuck's a loyal, a raving fan. He's been in my world a long time with, I'm sure, a lot of other people that have been in my world that their lives changed forever.
Yeah, I think bravery has a lot to do with it. I want to pivot just for a second here, because, part of a lot of the intrigue of what's going on, I can't even imagine what's going on inside your head right now. The Inside Edition expose, and, it got really loud, but it got loud for a good reason, right? So I have a couple thoughts and I have a couple questions, and before I say anything though, okay, for everybody that's listening that maybe doesn't know exactly what happened, because not everybody that listens is an industry person, right? We're talking a lot of industry terms. Basically, there was an expose Inside Edition did on national television. It went completely viral all over the place. And there was a sting operation set up in New Jersey. There were 4 contractors that came out. One contractor was in charge of orchestrating it and calling the companies or setting up the repair, if you will, which was, I believe, had Edison Heating and Cooling, the owner of Edison Heating and Cooling, which, dude, I lived in South Plainfield for 10 years. Okay. I mean, literally his shop is right down the road. Back in like 2012, 13, I was actually a part of the expose, but I was like just in the background, and it was not, I wasn't on it. Bobby Ring, who was the senior vice president of ACA at the time, who owns Meyer and DePuy, wasn't a part of that. That was different. There were like 5 companies that got called out there, and it was bad. And that was on the Today Show, and it was bad. This one was a little bit different. The last time they called a bunch of no-name shops out there, basically, and they went out there with the exception of one company, and they went out there, and it was bad. It was pretty bad. This go around, they called like 4 very big shops, obviously part of trades groups and everything else. And the results were, I mean, at least for your old company, for Gold Medal, were disastrous. I was thinking, I was going to play the clip, but I mean, I have it queued up. I don't know if anybody wants to, if anybody in the chat wants to see it, that's great. Otherwise you can go on YouTube and you can find it. But basically this tech, made up a repair that wasn't needed. And this was, Mike's old company that he built from the ground up. And so I can't imagine what your thoughts are, but I'll let you talk.
Yeah. Let me tell you a story. So first off, I watched the one happen 10 years ago, and I thought that was disgusting. Not disgusting what they did, the narrative. If you want to know what I'm upset about, I'm upset that anybody in the industry finds the one from over 10 years ago funny and this one funny. It's disgusting. It's hurt every industry person watching here. Congratulations. you're all under a microscope, and where they already, okay, everybody that's a plumber, raise your hand. What they thought about you before, butt crack flannel, the industry, the world of customers thinks you're worse than that now. So congratulations, everyone. I want to tell you a story. I was on People's Court one time. Did you ever hear this?
No.
Okay. They reached out to me. This was a long time ago. Maybe I can't even find the clip. It's so long ago. I've been offering to pay like $500. Someone finds this clip of me on People's Court. People's Court calls me a Judge Mulan or something. And they say, hey, we want to put you on the show, live television for this case. And I said, I'm not going to go on there. I don't want my brand. They said, we won't use your brand, nothing. We won't say your company name. Will you come on? I said, sure, because what we did, it was a repair on a toilet bowl and it was cracked. And the guy says, I just want you to seal it. And my expert said, if I seal it, it's going to leak. Okay. He says it. He goes, I just want you to silicone it. Don't fight with me, silicone it. Guy says it's going to leak. He goes, silicone it. My guy writes right on the invoice, told the customer it is going to leak immediately, but forced me to silicone it, charged them whatever, $100-something for silicone to silicone this thing. It leaked. Guess what happened then, everybody? He had a problem. So People's Court says, will you come on live TV? I said, sure. So now they bring you in a room, and this is where I get educated. So everybody thought you saw what you saw. The reality is, do you know, did that guy make it up? Was he trying to be malicious, or was it TV? So here I am, I'm waiting. They go, you're going to go out any minute. Dum, dum, dum. The case of the broken toilet bowl. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? They say, when you go out there, you can debate, you could argue, don't curse, and you can't attack the guy or anything. I'm like, all right, whatever. So now the woman goes like this, Mr. Old Man. Now here's this old decrepit guy. His wife's back there like half crumbled up. How did you come to call the person over here? Well, I couldn't judge. I couldn't get anybody to come to my house. They just kept ignoring me. So I went to the phone book and opened up and found the biggest ad, and I called that company. And the judge goes, well, that's why I don't call big companies. So now she turns it over to me, and she says, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, Judge, didn't you hear? He tried to get support, but none of the little companies called him because they didn't care about him. Now, in TV, they had me go, Judge, and they stopped the clip like that. So it's all manipulated. This is frustrating for the industry. I don't know what's true or not true with the guy. I don't know if the guy made it up. All I do know is if you came to me and I ran a service company, and I can't even say that because people came to me and tried to say, hey, would you want to be on TV to do similar things? And I said, go F yourself. You want me to try to what? Find someone doing something wrong? How about this? Everybody type in the chat bar, what episode did all of you in the trades watch where they showed 5 companies and they said, I want to thank America for all the plumbers. I want to thank America for all the electricians. Go ahead, type in. Tell me what episode on TV shows that. None.
No, it's true. And obviously that's what's going to sell headlines, and that's what's going to get clicks, and that's what's going to get watches. And that makes a lot of sense, right? I mean, the purpose of this was obviously to expose dishonest practices. Okay. And if we're being, look, I mean, here's the thing. I get it. And I understand what you're saying. I also see it from a perspective of like, I mean, I don't know. The guy said there was a micro leak. That's weird. Like, I mean, did he do enough of a diagnosis to get to a point where he thought that there was a micro leak? Who knows? Maybe he didn't have the training. Maybe he was inept. Maybe he was completely inept. And you know what? Maybe, I think that there's another thought process here, which is that, and I think this isn't in the thought process of the public, but it's in the thought process of people in our industry, which is when you roll stuff up and you get, all this PE involved and everything else, right? And everything's a bottom line, and your managers are under the gun to produce as much revenue as possible, because now it's no longer running a service business. It's running a business that happens to do service. And so look, you can write all the mission statements and all the mission statements and all the core values on the wall that you want to, but if you don't eat it and breathe it and sleep it and everything else, and your management doesn't put that through, and your PE company and your backing financiers, like they don't adhere to those things, and they don't really walk the walk, well, guess what happens?
Yeah. But let me ask you a question. Everybody on here watching, did any of you never in your life diagnose something wrong? Now, I have my electrical license, my inspector's license, and I'm doing electrical for over 30 years. And I've diagnosed something wrong before. I've looked at a panel and said, look, it's the bus bar. And it wasn't the bus bar. I replaced the bus bar and the lights are still flickering because it was a loose neutral. Now, wait a second. If I was on TV and said, it's a loose bus bar, and they found out it's a neutral, was I selling them a bus bar, or was there another thing? So I can't say. For all I know, the guy was wrong. But if anybody here wants to tell me they never diagnosed something wrong, so we don't. My wife
100%, 100%.
Three truths: your truth, my truth, God's truth. Which one you want to go with?
I'm with you. No matter how you put it, you're right. It's and I think Dan said it best here. He said, "Look, slam journalism is bad for the industry, of course. But like, because it was your baby, like, how did that like resonate? Was it immediately your response now, or what was your initial reaction?"
Well, I got a million messages. First of all, oh, you must be upset. You must be frustrated. I'm like, hang on a minute, guys. I built a company and I created a movement. My job, my number one focus was not just getting revenue. I wanted to make men stronger men. In my culture, I still got people on social media. When they see me, they say, I worked at Gold Medal 10 years, 15 years, 19 years. And I believe they would still fist fight for me. I got guys in the industry today that now started their own company that would fist fight for me. So look, I was immediately frustrated for the industry, had nothing to do with whatever I built at Gold Medal. It meant nothing because I sold Gold Medal to a bigger future. I did not, and let's talk about PE because everybody has an opinion, but I'll tell you the people who don't have a problem with PE, everybody that's listening to this that became a decamillionaire, none of you have an issue. None of them.
Innately, I don't think anybody has a real issue with PE. No, I think the real question is the disconnect between, what do they say the term is? The disconnect between Wall Street and Main Street, like that. It happens. It happens. And so here's the lesson that I say, because it doesn't matter. Listen, your businesses are getting rolled up. It's just what's happening, right? And so the reality is that like it's really a cautionary tale. It's really a cautionary tale. Train your people, make sure they can diagnose properly. But
why are they getting rolled up? Let's see. Does anybody have an answer? Why do you even think majority HVAC? Why are they getting rolled up? Let's see if anybody knows the answer. I'll tell you the answer. Well, there's all new. So PE, what makes them really smart, and everybody should learn from the business side of things, is they look at trends and cycles. They know a trend in an industry, if it's an automobile industry, an HVAC industry, they know that regulation is going in 10 years ago. And they know there's going to either be a new Freon, a new make, a new law through the US on whatever. And they say to themselves, wait a minute here. If there's going to be a new technology coming in industry, let's buy a whole bunch, because when that technology comes up, the value goes way up. Do any of you want to put money in your bank and make less? No, you want to put it and make more. It doesn't make them stupid. It makes them brilliant. On the flip side, not everybody's being rolled up. There's a lot of businesses that are staying in it and they're going generational and they're going to do fine too.
Yeah. Steven has an interesting thought here. Biggest issue is a prior CEO warrior participated in setting up other companies, bad on them. I didn't actually know that Edison Heating and Cooling was a CEO warrior.
That was who?
Member.
What's that?
Was Edison a prior CEO warrior? Oh, okay. Never mind. So, yeah.
No, and I can't say that. I can't say everybody that I trained at CEO Warrior was amazing, but I could say I never taught them. And if anybody wants to challenge that, be sure, air it right here, right now. I never went in front of them and said, you have to use trickery, manipulation, hardcore one-legger, never go to a house because there's a one-legger, because it wasn't my belief system. That's not how I built any of my companies. And today I'm building a portfolio of companies. I don't have any HVAC plumbing. I give that to people that I taught how to do that now. I just handed someone a deal today. I said, hey, this guy wants to give up equity here, take it. But I do have a portfolio of moving companies and PR companies. So I'm passionate about business because I'm passionate about, if you look at the world today, man, this world is being stood up by small business owners, and this economy will be destroyed for one reason and one reason only: the destruction of small business owners. That's it. That's what's going to kill the economy. Killing the small business owner. The big corporate's not keeping anybody alive. Look at the numbers out there.
How does that apply to, because the vast majority of our the trades business in general is small contractors. Do you see that as something that will happen there?
Look, before 2008, it was one of the greatest purges of all time, and people know it. You mentioned 2008, their eyes start to twitch. We're already in a silent recession. Do you guys get that? Type in "get it" if you guys get it. We're in a silent recession. This is not new. If it's just catching up to you, you haven't been listening to the right people. We've been in a silent recession since the beginning of this year, but everybody's feeling it now because the COVID money that made a guy in a station wagon thought he was brilliant, man, because so much money was held back that when COVID opened up, it come flying in. So even idiots, if they showed up, they got paid, but the COVID money's gone. Long answer to your thing is, we are in one of the most critical times ever and the most opportunity times. And if you don't know what to do, there will be more small business owners purged and hurt than ever in history. And if you want to go deeper, ask me, I'll tell you about that, because I have indicators I watch, man. I watch, like, for all of you that are in business, just look at number one indicator, repossessions of cars. It's one of my number one indicators. You know why? It's what people get taken first before they get their house taken. So when I see repossessions happening in the US, I start to say, we got a shit show coming, man. We better start helping people navigate this. But a lot of people are blind, but I'm getting calls every day now. People are like, the wheels are flying off the bus. What do I do? And I'm like, you're asking for a parachute now, man. We're going into what they call winter, global winter.
That sounds real gloom and doom, man.
Yeah, but it's only gloom and doom to the people that don't understand. Okay, everybody on here, and some of the people that follow me that been in my world, Tersh, and like, most people don't know how many of the people been in my world. They know that I shared a book with them, definitely through history. Tersh tell me, Steve Adario tell me, Chuck tell me, Who Moved My Cheese? Well, no, that's a good book too, man.
I love Who Moved My Cheese is one of my favorites. Okay. This one here, The Secrets of Business Mastery. That's a good. Who's that guy in the front? Who's that guy in the front there? Who's the guy in the front?
It's a guy with less gray fucking hair.
Yeah, he's got brown hair. Look at that guy.
Yeah, he's weaker than he is today, but he was very smart back then. Now I'm smart enough to know that I don't know as much as I think I know, and I'm constantly craving someone that's smarter than me to tell me what I don't know. And that's the opportunity side. So in the industrial age, back in the 1900s, the industrial age was the greatest time for creating wealth. A lot of grandparents and people made a lot of money in the industrial age. This is the new industrial age. Those that are cutting edge, they're going to create massive wealth, legacy wealth. Those that are doing it the same way they did, I just told someone the other day, I said, take everything I taught you 5 years ago, and it's all dog shit. It's dog shit.
Wow.
Everything. What I taught, what to say, how to say, where to go, what to give in a house, how to go in a house. It's garbage. You know why? Mass consciousness has changed the way people think, buy, decide. But everybody's still doing it the old way. But now that the silent recession's coming in, the agencies, the contractors are like, agency, why aren't you sending me 1 million clips every day? You know, and they're still not even prepared. Everybody's so sucking on ChatGPT and stuff, thinking, oh my God, this, because they can write an article Yeah. Do you even know like what ChatGPT is going to do to Amazon? How that will affect you? Are you already putting things in place so when you go to ChatGPT and say, I need a plumber, you're the most relevant thing out there? No, people, you don't hear nobody talking about that because they're too busy trying to look up a fucking gluten-free recipe or something.
You know, I really agree with that too. I did a webinar today. It was through the I sit on the board of the Texas Air Conditioning Contractors Association, and I did a free webinar today for sales training, and it touched upon this, and it touched upon I touched upon how, look, you really wanted a lot more time in the house, and now that everybody, you're right, that's such a great way to put it, right? The consciousness of people has changed, and so I've changed my sales training into condensing, and also one of the biggest thing I think is also making sure that you can actually grab the attention. The days of like, I vacuumed my whole house and I'm waiting until the guy comes here and I'm going to open the door and I have the glass of iced tea ready for them. Dude, these fucking people are sitting there on their phones. They're Googling shit while you're talking to them. Right. So like, if you're not their guy, if you don't become their guy really quick, they're going, you lose, right? That's the biggest thing is you got to be their guy. And I agree with that. And you're right. What's the strategy to get there? Right. Is it being on the, like you're talking about leveraging technology, all kinds of stuff. For me, I just fall back on what's amazingly human that I can do, that I can tap into, that I know is innately human and can be successful by sort of getting in there and rummaging around because let's be honest, in a digital world right now, and this is me talking. I'm not saying this is a wide belief. I'm thinking to myself, as we get more digital, I'm going to find more ways to make connection because we're so damn disconnected. Right. And that was half the reason why I started this podcast to begin with, was to get this side. Like, I'm so happy that you're sharing this and you're talking, and look, we're all sharing and we're chatting here because we're interested in what you have to say. Anyway,
we just fought. We lost connection in such a big way with the cell phones. Your kids on the couch and you're like, get up and, get your plate of food. And we finally started to come back, and, you do see the stats. Like, everybody should realize, like, they're saying in 10 years, every home will have one robot. You're going to have more robots produced than cell phones and more produced than cars per year, which is a whole nother story that we could get into. But when you look at selling, you used to be able to sell on verbal cues. You used to be able to use, like, if you were to make a decision, what decision would you make? And all that bullshit. Today, the only way that you serve a client is to sell to their subconscious mind. That's it. You're selling to all their past programming. And most people are teaching sales. They're not even teaching it like, they don't even know enough to get to the point of the different emotional indicators of how the customer's feeling. So someone comes in, a customer's concerned and they're really excited. I'll save your day, And I watch it because, and I'm thankful enough. I've been serving this industry now for, like, serving in a way of teaching for over a decade now. And I've been able to watch the impact because I've been calling out these people, Mrs. Jones, I'm going to install this triple flux capacitor for you, by the way, and it's going to come with this ignition. I'm like, come on, what are you fucking kidding me? Thank God the industry has changed, because on TV, you wouldn't see one. They would be like, what is this guy talking about, this thing? But the reality is, PE or no PE, companies need to make sales, because there is not one. Everybody type in the chat bar. Any of your employees asking for less money, they're all coming in saying, hey, can I get a little less money? And I'd like to work longer. No. So if people want to make what they're making today, which is pretty phenomenal, which that's going to go away, because watch this. Okay, it's already out there, but within the next couple of years, it'll become mainstream. Ready? You'll have a pair of glasses. You'll put them on. A guy that just has enough common sense not to chop off his finger. And these glasses will look at the furnace and it will calculate right in it. This is what Mrs. Jones should do. They should consider upgrading to this, and they should do this. And here's where they'll look around. There's probably a leak here. And you'll go, the furnace doesn't work. And the thing will go, check the red wire, check the blue wire. And everybody that's making $50 an hour, $75 an hour, you're all going to go back to making $20 an hour.
Wow.
because the knowledge game is gone. You know why? Because technology is moving so fast, not the value is knowledge is going down. The wisdom game is going up. You know why? The wisdom game, if you haven't been through 9/11, 2008, Y2K, the pandemic, during the pandemic, they had an industry standard. The industry was down by 27%. Now, some of the people viewing here, they were in my world. And guess what? I had people up during the pandemic in the beginning up 600%. Not because I'm brilliant, because every day we were on a call. Don't panic. What do you do? Here's what you say. Here's how you make the customer confident. And everybody right now, if you're not doing a simulation, you know what a simulation is? Okay. Since you're calling out real and raw here, I love it. Okay, so monkeypox isn't scary enough for you, so we'll call it mpox. Every one of you that's not doing, and I'm not here for doom and gloom, because only people that are worried are people not prepared. And everybody should write that down. It's the only people scared are people not prepared. But do you think for a minute, man, they're not going to try to throw this mpox and do some shutdown? They're already building a story for it. The question is, contractors, companies, I specialize in companies that are 1 to 10 million, right? I tell them, get ready now. If it doesn't happen, you're good. If it does happen, you better have a fucking plan.
Yeah, that line of logic is good because your pit's fine. You're so passionate about this, and then people have said that. I'm two things. Well, so one, there's a question from here. It's actually from Turch, and he says, "Mike, what's the question no one's asking?" I don't know. Yeah, so it's like, I guess I don't know if we covered that. That question came in a while ago.
No, it's a great question, and I know Turch a long time. He's brilliant. His wife's brilliant. I love their brand. I mean, they've done magical things. And the podcast he has is incredible and stuff. And he knows I only say it, it's true. I don't need to blow shit or anything up anybody's ass, right?
For sure.
Here's the questions nobody's asking is, if I go, what is this technology world? Okay, what is it going to change for the better? What is it going to change for the destruction? Simultaneously, just like your human body, there's a cell in your body dying and there's a cell growing. So if you look at the evolution of technology, what people are not asking themselves is, hey, what are these self-driving cars going to do? They're in California. When you put the self-driving cars, everybody type in the chat bar, when all your friends, your neighbors, and people in your communities can no longer do Instacart, DoorDash, tell me what happens to the economy. Where do they go? Where do they get the extra money? So all of you that are business owners, I'll tell you, Turch, what people should ask if you're a business owner, you should ask, how fast can you get to wealth? Because you're going to have so many people relying on you, your friends, your family, your neighbors, that if you can't help them, you're going to watch them suffer. So that's what business owners should ask themselves is, what the hell do I have to do as an owner to stop eating baby food and get to the point I could scale a company, business, and wealth? Because you got a lot of people counting on you. Medical's not going down. Right? The cost is not going down, it's going up. Now, self-driving cars, you got that deal. Okay, drone deliveries, okay, no big deal. That's already happening. Some technology. Okay, we're going now outsourcing to other countries. Why? Because they are hungry and they're going to do it for a 16th the price. Okay, AI. How many of you, let's see, tell me on the chat bar. Go ahead, be honest, everybody. None of you have reduced any employees because of technology. Of course you did. Well, because that employee didn't have another place to go. So that's the question everybody should ask. Where is the catalyst here that where there's a tilting that only the people that are smart are going to survive? And I'm passionate. You know why I'm here? Because I don't have to be here. Someone I know that's way wealthier than me, way, way wealthier. He says, it's so funny. When you sell the first company, you'll take on something, you'll work more than you ever worked before. If you sell 2 high 8-figure companies, he goes, you'll work more than you could imagine than when you were 20 years old. And it's true. You know why? Because you go from passion to purpose. My purpose is I want to remove as much suffering on the planet. Not because I have to, because I'm not a showboater. I don't give a shit. You got a brand new Lamborghini. I don't care. You want it? Cool. I'm not impressed by your boats, your cars, your watches, your planes. You know what impresses me? Your wife loves you. You're working so hard for your kids to love you. And you want to make sure that when you're done on this planet, you feel like you made a fucking difference. Not that you crucified people on TV. It's ridiculous. And guess what? The question you should ask me is, would you be as passionate if it was a company in California? What if it was a company in Massachusetts? What if it was a company in Maryland? You know what? Anywhere they did that sting to that any industry, I would be just as pissed off.
Let me ask you this. And somebody pretty prominent in the industry asked me this question. I'm going to ask you in the way that I would ask you. What are your thoughts on like when somebody says that this whole thing was a hit job?
A hit job? Like
a hit job
manipulated for the advantage of someone else?
Like this whole Inside Edition thing was set up as a hit job.
Well, look.
Someone actually asked me to tell you.
Of course it is, but
okay.
I don't. It's my own opinion. It's my opinion. But I've done enough PR. I've spent millions of dollars. I sent out close to 1 billion direct mail pieces. Like I've gotten every call to be on like all these shows and all these bullshit things. And when I was younger, I was impressed. Later, I started to put employees on TV because I said, I don't need my ego played with. I don't need my balls played with on public TV no more, right? So I used to tell my employees, let me put you on TV. The whole thing's manipulated from multiple angles. One, the news. That sounds sexy. People will watch it. We pay for viewership, right? Number two, well, do you think that guy just spun a wheel and said this one, and this one? No. Listen, I was going to buy that company. It's got to be 15 years ago. 15, maybe longer. I don't know. I was going to buy it. There was 2 bids. Mine was more. I didn't get it. You make your own opinions.
Time out. Maybe I don't know which company you're referring to because
Edison. I was going to buy Edison.
Oh, you were going to buy, but Edison wasn't one of the companies. They orchestrated it. It wasn't. They coordinated it. It wasn't. Yeah, it was Binsky. Right. Yeah, it was Binsky, AJ Perry, gold medal, and there was one more. But they all of them came out on the plus side of it, which is good for the purposes of like PR and everything else for them, and obviously not so good for everybody else.
Is it not good? Like, it's not good for everybody. Do you really think, I didn't have conversations with them, but do you think the company that any PE company that owns a portfolio of almost $1 billion, do you think that's even a pimple on their ass at this point? It's not. Are they happy? I'm guessing not. Are they sad? No, because look, AJ Perry, they were one of my number one competitors, AJ Perry. A competitor is someone you admire so much, you compete to beat because you're impressed by him. Let's face it, what is a competitor? And I know, look, I used to tell people years ago, there is no competitors. No, there is, because companies that are doing way more, way better than you and have a better than life than you are a fucking competitor. So, but, AJ Perry, look, they had their own problems out there.
Yeah, no, that was a big one. I mean, that happened. I mean, I was there when that, like right after that happened. That was tough to deal with. Yeah, it was tough. I wasn't happy
they had a house blow up twice. And this is the difference in this industry. Let's just talk the blue collar industry. You know what the difference is? There's people that say they care and there's people that really do care. I didn't need to, sometimes, look, there's a world of people that came through CEO Warrior and stuff. Some of they got a big fucking mouth about me. You know what? I made a lot of money when I was 22 years old. I was making $150,000 a year in my own company. There's people not making that today. I've always made money. You know why? I've always delivered world-class value at the highest level of integrity.
I want to get to the human sort of part of this here. And so you obviously own a bunch of companies. What's the toughest fire you ever had to make?
I got a $4 million lawsuit. $4 million. We settled at $1 million. I thought he was going to put me out of business. You want to talk about not sleeping at night? How about any of you on here? How happy are you if you got a $4 million lawsuit? And in the end, we paid $1 million. And you know what I won't bring up who it was and stuff. You know what the person that sued me said at the end when we were in court and we settled? I know you had nothing to do with this. but we had to get paid by someone.
Wow.
$1 million.
Was this that gold medal?
Is that gold medal? I thought it was going to put me out of business. When you're up against turbulence like this, that's why I'm saying, like, everybody in the world, they all have a story of what they think, who you are, what you did. First off, anybody that never sold a company, you know nothing about selling a company. Let's just call it. If you didn't think you could tell someone how to sell a company and you never sold one, bullshit. It's the reason I sold. My business partner said, Mike, if we sell a company, like, people won't come and visit this and see everything we built. I said, if we never sell, how will we get other people to sell someday? We never went through the process, right? So, like, that $1 million, now it fueled me. And we grew, look, the biggest amount we added a year was 6.5 million. And the biggest month I had was 3.5 million. Today, if I was in this game, like, with the technology and how fast and endurance and relentlessness that I always had, like, you know, I like these companies that are doing a couple 100 million and we're still owned privately, individually, because when you understand marketing and sales and branding and operations and culture, it's easier to scale.
What was the most fun part about building gold medal?
Oh, I fucking loved gold medal, man. I loved it. Let me tell you something. I did those hiring experiences when I put 50, 70 people in a room and act like it was American Idol. Fucking be throwing candy, Snickers bars, and popcorn would come out, and people would be like, I used to have competitors in there and I'd welcome them. Come on in. You know, when I started CEO Warrior, I started coaching 8 companies in New Jersey to compete against me. I said, I'm going to teach you fucking everything. I loved it. My all company meetings. Oh my God. The money gun. I'd shoot the money gun. They would attack me. I'd bang my chest, thunderstruck. I mean, and then people would leave me in fist pump. I mean, they would, and these plumbers, especially plumbers, man, they got fucking hands like this. My knuckles were raw, and I would sit at the door and fist pump 180 people out the door. There's no, look, I fought for their livelihood. I did. I never.
Have you ever been able, do you think in anything that you've done since then, okay, do you think that you've had that level of enjoyment in anything you've done? Oh
yeah. CEO Warrior. Are you kidding me? We did 35 3-day events at CEO Warrior, man. I put MMA fighting gloves on people and had them in the parking lot at 11 p.m. at night, running with heavy bags and beating their soul out and watching weakness leave their body. And then having guys that were in the military suffering from trauma for 20 years coming up and shaking my hand with tears and say, I've been suffering with trauma for 20 years. And in this one event here, you removed all my trauma of 20 years. Like, and my partner, the biggest thing was me and Mike Disney. If anybody knows Mike Disney, we used to laugh because my partner at the end, he'd go, how many fucking tables did you break? Because they would bang the tables. They would stand on the tables, chairs in the air. And I'd have a bat with spikes on it. And I loved it.
You know, and I saw some of those videos. You mentioned something about traumatic brain injury with this guy. Just so everybody knows, my podcast sponsor for charity is the Texas Valor Project, which actually does traumatic brain treatment for first responders and veterans who can't afford to get the treatment that they need. I've donated a lot of time and money to this charity. And you guys really, I mean, if you get a couple bucks, whatever it is, they got events coming up. It's amazing to watch these people who have in some cases, they don't have any, you know, they need to get their life back. And the organization puts together doctors and puts together the team so that they can do, instead of doing $100,000 surgery, it's a $10,000 surgery and they can live normally. So I'm glad that you brought that up. Texas Valor Project, you can just Google them or whatever it is. Mike,
hang on 1 second before you go on. One, if they ever want me to come and speak over Zoom for them, normally today I get $35,000 to speak in person and $10,000 an hour over Zoom. Be 100% free on me. Number 2, I have a kick-ass book called Mind Power. If they want me to ship a case of those things, shipping will be on me and it'll be on me. And also, when we're done, me and you are on Facebook Messenger, send me a link and I'll make a donation myself to help them.
Dude,
that is a fucking incredible cause. And that's what I want everybody to do because, you know, this is, if you want to know about like turmoil, you know, you sell a company. I got robbed close to $6 million through a crazy, I won't go into this situation. I don't know if I'll ever get any of the $6 million, back, which is a lot of money. Some people here probably don't give a shit. And when I left my account, and I'm like, can you even fathom this? Like this amount of money being stolen from somebody? It's like Wells Fargo stealing money from me. This was a high level company. And as I drove, I pulled up to a light and I'm thinking, this is just insane. And there's a guy, he's got a cardboard sign. He's homeless. You could tell he's homeless. He's not one of these homeless with Air Jordans and shit and the latest iPhone.
He's like homeless.
He's homeless, man. And nobody's giving him nothing. And I said, hey, come on over here, man. And with tears, I pulled out money and I gave it to him. And I said, I'm just rooting for you, man. And in that moment, I thought, no matter how much money I'm owed, I'm in a fucking great truck with big tires. And this guy, he's just wondering where he's going to sleep tonight. So I hope everybody will contribute, even if to his cause, $5 even for his time here. Contribute a couple bucks for this because you're changing a life. That's
thank you. So there's one question I ask on every single podcast episode, and I think this is like I want to make a clip of like just like this answer for different people. It's a remarkable what happens. And I think you know it. So it's what's one experience, what's one, maybe it was with a customer, maybe it was with an employee, like an experience, but specifically in working in your business, that lives with you, that you carry with you wherever you go.
I hope we have time for two. We got all
the time in the world. We got all the time in the world. This is my world, man. We're just living in it. Yeah.
My guy comes to me, Mike, and he says, hey, I don't know if you're going to be mad or not mad, but this mom husband is in the hospital and she has a handicapped kid. So I got to share this without getting, choked up because, one thing my dad said is, son, as you get older, you're going to cry over cartoons. You're going to watch a Disney show with your daughter and you're going to fucking cry. So I noticed I got more sensitive as I level up in age. And he says to me, I just want to let you know the woman left the house. And I was like, okay, no big deal. We let customers leave house. He goes, yeah, but her handicapped child was left home with me. And I said I would watch him. And I'm like, okay. And I'm thinking, what's going on here? And he says, look, there was nothing to do. The kid was safe. I was working there. And I knew this employee worked for me 8 years. I trusted him. He said, the woman's husband's in the hospital and he was dying. And she was crying there. And he said, just go to the hospital and go see your husband. Okay. So the woman left and he's telling me the story. And the woman gets to the hospital and she gets there just in time and she says goodbye to her husband and her husband dies right there.
Oh my God.
The wife comes back and she's in tears and he says, is everything okay? Your son has been fine. I've been watching him. Nothing happened. Everything is perfectly safe. And she goes, you gave me a gift of letting me go talk to my husband right before he died. Right before he died. And I said, what would make you think I'm mad? He goes, well, there was a lot of risk there. What if something happened? I said, what's the risk that would have happened if this woman didn't get to say those last words to her husband? And there's been lots of stories like that in a moment in time. You just know you don't have a culture of money makers. You have a culture of caring humans. And that's what I always wanted. But let me give you a positive one now, because that's an impactful, emotional one. But I never forgot that story ever.
Yeah, and
still, because we had something in our company, and we still do it today in our company at Fudog Group. We had what was called the Smile Program, and I'll explain it because I hope everybody that hears it, you'll implement it in your own company. The Smile Program was anything that anybody hears inside my whole organization about anybody that they think needs a smile. It could be their daughter's getting married or their dog just died. They can come to our company and say, I want to send a smile to that person. And we had somebody in charge and just said, whatever you think the most appropriate smile, send them a fruit basket, a teddy bear, a balloon, send it. We sent, one time we sent a CEO warrior blanket to someone's father and he was wearing it when he passed. And he looked at that emblem that I built, that warrior mask, as such a sense of like power and strength and comfort. And his daughter said, you don't know the comfort that blanket you sent gave to my dad. He didn't die a man. He died a warrior wearing it. I mean, fucking, how do you, like, what price can you put on that? Nothing. But let's do this one. I get a call one day, and this guy calls me up, and he says, he left a message. Hey, it's Uncle Mike. Call me back. So I'm like, Uncle Mike? I don't have an Uncle Mike. So I call him back, and guy answers, hello, Mike. I said, oh, hey, is this Uncle Mike? I don't know a fucking Uncle Mike. He goes, yeah, is this Mike? This is Uncle Mike. So I go, Uncle Mike, it's so nice to talk to you. Hey, I'm sorry, and I'm embarrassed. I don't remember you, Uncle Mike. He goes, forget about that. Forget about that. Let me tell you, kid. And he's this old Italian. Let me tell you, kid. I had a call with your company, and I had to cancel the call because it was my fucking birthday, and he's cursing and shit. I'm like, okay. Now I'm wondering, like, is this guy mad at me? Is he happy at me? I don't even fucking know. I'm like, okay. He goes, but you don't understand. These guys came to my house the next day. They knocked on the door. When I opened the door, these two men, I think it was Mike Moeller and Anthony Cipriano. If I got it right, it's those two. And he goes, they're there. They got a fucking birthday cake for me, man. A fucking birthday cake. Never met me. You just come into my door, and they say to me, we heard it was your birthday. He goes, so guess what? I'm your fucking Uncle Mike forever. So now Uncle Mike's calling me every month. I'm talking to Uncle Mike. What's the power of the story? I never told them to bring a birthday cake. I never told them to stop at the store and do it. They did it because they wanted to impact people's lives. You know why? Because my goal every day in the company was, how could I impact my own employees' lives? How could I just change them a little bit? That guy referred hundreds of thousands of dollars for us. And they didn't do it for the referral. They did it because they cared about people so much. So there's two, but I could go on. Look,
Dan says everyone in Texas has an Uncle Mike.
That's great. My dad used to say, this is great, Dan, listen to this. There was a time where I wanted to make sure no matter what a customer calls and asks us for, we would find something for them to help them out. And so if you called my company and said, hey, I'm looking to order pizza, we would say, oh, we don't sell pizza yet. Because I told my employees, you get 500 calls, they want dental work, we're going to start a dental division. We'll fix your fucking teeth. And we tracked it. So our company would say, hey, where do you live? Let me find you the best pizza place and get you hooked up with, with pizza. So the way I did this theory was my dad, every single thing. Now, if you're Italian, everybody listening, type in Italian because this won't shock you. But my dad had an Uncle Louie, and everything he needed, it could be a car or have a tough collection call with somebody. He said, hey, Uncle Louie knows a guy. Uncle Louie knows a guy. And I built my company being, let's be Uncle Louie to everybody. Doesn't mean we have to do it, but we have to help them find it. So, that there's all these theories. Can I give you one more theory might help everybody? Mm-hmm. Okay. And then you'll stop me and we'll finish up. Because I got every night, my daughter, we started the series Cobra Kai. Okay.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great show.
And she never watched Karate Kid, so I'm explaining it, and she's hooked on it. And it's like 11:30 at night, and she's like, "Should we go to bed?" I'm like, "One more." It's
always one more. My daughter's the same way. I have an 11-year-old daughter. It's always like, "One more, Dad."
Yeah, I love it. So I will have to end soon because we're gonna watch Cobra Kai tonight. But here's the story with my dad and how I applied it, and hopefully people see I'm not known for giving stories without an action and a value. Okay, because I think anybody that motivates you with nothing is entertainment. You might as well go watch fucking Netflix. If they're going to say, just grind it out, work harder on fucking what? Grindware, right?
Yeah, no, it's all bullshit.
Yeah. So my dad, when I was a kid, one of my favorite things, and I don't know why more parents don't take their kids, like they do the take your kid to work day. I'm like, man, you should be, especially sons and daughters, they should come to jobs, see what you do and do that stuff. Otherwise, they're going to grow up to be someone who can't even, if I can pick up a screwdriver or something. So my dad, when I'd go to a job, he used to, I don't know, you're pretty young, but I don't know if you ever eaten Entenmann's walnut Danish ring.
Yes, and I'm not as young as you think I am.
Okay. Well, you look young because maybe you're covering the grays, but I let mine hang out.
No, I just don't have a ton of grades except my beard. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay. So my dad used to say, hey, we got to pull in Krausers. Okay. And he would grab an Entenmann walnut Danish ring, which is like crack in a circle.
Yep.
And he'd grab coffees. And on the way there, I used to say, Dad, do you know these people? He goes, son, let me tell you, we do business over walnut Danish ring and coffee. And he'd say it just like that. My dad, big Italian guy. And I would go, okay. And
that's how you do business.
That's how you did business. And that's how so I'm going to tell you how we did business. So I was thinking about that one day, and I was thinking about all these sales strategies, and I've trained under every guru. I mean, and this is no bullshit. Anybody listening, feel free to challenge me. I always tell people, if you want to challenge me, let's do it like this, or let's get on Channel 7 News and let's do it. Like I'm all in, right? And because I've invested over $4 million in my own education. And so now what we did was all these salespeople were telling, like, when you go to the door, knock on the door and build rapport. And I was like, thinking back as a childhood, I'm like, that's not how my dad did it. My dad did it. His theory was, he didn't use these words. I'm using the words. And I built a strategy called build rapport before the door. So I started a strategy that every time my people were going to a job, dispatch did their bullshit they did. But my service experts would call and say, hey, Everett, I'm on my way. I'm going to be passing a Dunkin' Donuts. Love to pick you up a coffee. And tell me, what kind of donut? You want a Boston cream? And they would go, they always say, no. And they go, hey, if you're on a diet, no judgment, but will you judge me if I get a Boston cream donut? And they would laugh. And then they would sometimes do it and sometimes not. So my friend, my friend who worked for me, he's talk about some luck, man. Not only did he have cancer, and if anybody's willing to donate, I know we have a great charity here, but if anybody's willing to do a GoFundMe for $5 for my friend, I know him, I love him dearly. And he ended up with testicular cancer. He was a painter, can't paint. He got healed. A month and a half later, it came back. He's in round number 2 of fighting for his life. I call him Sensei Eddie. He's trained martial arts. He's a brother. But I'll tell you, he did the strategy. He called up and the customer said, hey, it might be weird, but like, I just ran out of dog food. He's like, dude, what kind of dog food do you like? I'll get it. Is it like kibbles and bits or something? He's like, I just need this type of dog food. Now, some of you are listening, and if you don't own the company, you're like, who's going to pay me the $10 for kibbles and bits and shit? What's small? Don't be small-minded, everybody, please. So he goes, takes out his credit card, he buys the fucking dog food. Now, I told my people, I'll reimburse you for the kibbles and bits and the fucking Boston cream donut. But just don't eat too many donuts because you're going to get fat and slow on me, right? So, every now and then bring donuts, but don't eat them. So he brings the bag and he goes, hey, I got dog food. Why don't, let's just go take care of the dog real quick. And then we'll talk about what you need here. $30,000 install. Now, maybe you would have bought it either way, but guess what? Build rapport before the door. It's not the CSR's job. It's not the dispatcher's job. It's the expert's job.
Yeah,
you know why? Because when you get to that house, I've been saying this for over 30 years. You want that person to answer the door like you're at grandma's house. And if you just treat everybody like it's your grandmother, hopefully your grandmother or grandfather didn't beat you and shit, but treat them like they're your grandparents. And, there's nothing more than that.
Dan he's burning questions. He has one question for you. He says, what would you say to a guy named Bob who wants to get into the trades, but he's green and unsure?
Well, first off, I don't care that someone is green, because I took a guy 25 years ago and he had no electrical experience, and I turned him into a crackerjack mechanic in 18 months. And back then, you would remember this. You remember the commercials like, do you want to become an electrician, a plumber, a welder, right? And you'd buy a program. It's like $1,000 training, and they would send you a little electrical tester and shit. And he bought that program. So one, I don't care about green. If he's unsure, say, listen, man, come and ride in the truck. Come and hang out just give it 3 days. In 3 days, if you got enough jobs, he's going to love it or hate it.
Yeah, dude, give it 72 hours. Like, bro, what do you have to lose? You got nothing going on anyway, right? You're not going to go, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. There was a lot going on here, and I'm sorry not to get to everything. I know you got to get to Cobra Kai. I want to just say, I want to end with this, and we don't have a lot of, everybody's kind of cashed out, but I'm going to end with this little I'm going to end with a story, and it's about you. And I'll say this. We had you had that training event, and you handed me a bottle of water, and you said, and at the time, look, I had already done at that time, which was crazy. I was doing $2 million in sales, when if you did $1 million, that was like the end. You handed me this bottle of water. You said, sell me this bottle of water. And this was in the mass like hiring event thing that you just invited me to. And I went, right. And I did something, and I said something stupid or whatever it was. And I tried to, and you were like, hang on. And you picked up the water bottle, and you said, this water bottle used to belong to Michael Jordan. Actually, I just grabbed it from him, and it's actually like his lucky water bottle. And it was something stupid along the lines of that, but it really did carve like a little like neural, you know what I mean? Like a little channel in my neural pathway. And I said, that's pretty cool, man. It was a cool angle that I and it's funny because not that I hadn't taken a gazillion classes by that point in time in sales training, but it was just a unique way that you put it. So it's so funny that the very short amount of time that we spent together, sporadically, and the things that I've seen have actually really impacted me greatly, which is bonkers. So it's cool. It's probably a testament to why you've been successful, and you're obviously infectious. You have an infectious personality, with the Food Dog, with everything you do, and you believe it and you live it and you dream it and you embody it. So I'm really glad that you came on here. Is there anything you want to tell everybody, how they can reach you, where they can go to find out about the Food Dog Group?
Yeah, they could go to fuddoggroup.com. I gave you a link. They could get resources. Hey, everybody out there, the thing that's different about me today is I don't need to beg you for $1. I'm not looking. If I'm a fit for somebody, it's cool. I'm really selective who's in my world. But if anybody is, and thank you for letting me do this, if anybody does have connections to battered women's shelters, veterans groups that need support, you have somewhere where I could speak. If it's going to impact people that are trying to get their life better and they're down in their luck, reach out to me. And as long as I can do it, if it's close, I'll go to it in person. It won't cost you a thing. If it's far, I'm going to have to Zoom it because I got a lot of things that I'm doing in my life and travel with my beautiful wife, Jennifer. We've been together since we're 15 years old. So, we built a life by design. And I'll just tell everybody also, if you're ever in just a dark day and you just need to Facebook message someone, it's me. If I respond to my Facebook, I don't have a bot. I don't have a robot. It's not AI. I appreciate and I care about you guys too much. Just say, look, it's a dark day in my life. I'm just looking to tell somebody something, but I'm not expecting anything. Or if you need some words of wisdom, just reach out to me. And I do have that book, Mind Power. If somebody wants that, I could get you a digital version for free. Secrets of Business Mastery. I don't own that book no more because I sold it with the company, but it's a kick-ass book. Even today, it's more cutting edge than most. What's
the name of the book that you're promoting right now?
Mind Power.
Mind Power.
It's a couple years old.
I'll be expecting a signed copy, Mr.
Yeah, I'll get you one. So you'll send me your address. I'll send you one. But that's all. I'm rooting for everybody. Please don't quit on yourself. And I think you said in the beginning, which impacted me and resonated, where you said your daughter says you're always doing something because you're fighting, keeping the demons out. I would tell all of you, there is a world of demons around every corner. It's so easy to get sucked into so many things with either addiction and all these things that people are battling. And if any of you are dealing with that, do me a favor. People with addiction today, they didn't ask for it. They just got sucked into it. And, the less we could judge these people and the more we could love them and care about them, the better we're going to help the world. So that's it. I'm honored that you invited me. I hope people got massive value. If I could serve, let me know.
Well, this is just the beginning. I mean, this will go out and it'll be on YouTube and it'll be on audio and Spotify and Apple Podcasts and everything else. And so it's gonna be really great. I got a couple things, Mike, thank you so much. I'm going to take you off here for 1 second. I just have a quick announcement and then we're going to roll here. That was awesome. Really quickly, little announcement, my own self plug. I launched In This House, sales coaching and consulting this week. As you guys know, I've already done sales coaching and training for many, many years. I branded it under the podcast because it seems to work. I did a TACA webinar today for sales. And so I took what I was already doing, and I had an LLC, and I was doing coaching and training anyway. And I just made it into something a little differently. And I formed it in a very palpable, very easy way. I'm doing it sort of Netflix style, like small monthly payments. It's like a it's kind of having access to a sales manager for companies that really can't keep a sales manager or a sales coach on staff. So I would love to answer questions about that. You guys know how to find me. Very cool. Love this episode. Lots of engagement, and we'll see you next week.